Hey, you're listening to Blindsight. Let's go. Mental health isn't something to take lightly. It's time to fight. It's time to thrive. Let's do this.
Welcome to you all. I'm your host, Bill Lundgren, and this is Blindsight. And I'm really delighted that you're with us today. We have a very interesting and important person to tell us a story that we need to hear. Ashley Purdy is our guest, and before I connect with her, let me put a warning. We will be talking about suicide, and we'll be, if this subject proves to be uncomfortable with you, just remember that there is a easy way to connect with somebody who will talk to you and give you some help in dealing with it. And what that person or group can be reached by just dialing 988. So with that, Ashley, welcome to Blindsight.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Well, I think that your story is a marvelous tale of persistence and self-discovery that I think is important for everybody to hear. But first, tell us a little bit about you.
In my early years, we bounced around a lot. I've gone to so many schools, but the one I went to longest was Morningside in Pittsfield. We lived in a house on North Street, and that's the house I consider to have grown up in because we lived there the longest. First with both my parents, and then when they got divorced, my mom moved out, and then after my dad passed, we moved back in there with my mom until she uprooted us my freshman year. But during those early years, my parents didn't really get along. They had their issues. So I have an older sister from my mom, and then I have two younger siblings that we share, both mom and dad. So the older one's Virginia, the younger two are Brittany and John. After my mom left, my dad was getting sick, and so he slowly started teaching me how to take care of my siblings and maintain the house and stuff. Granted, I was only 6 or 7 when it started, but I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, they're both alive, so I must have done
Sure.
something right, But he taught me how to cook, clean, do the dishes, do laundry, stuff like that. Pretty much everything except drive the car, which I ended up having to do once because he was falling asleep on the highway and he was like, "You drive." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm only 10, but okay, I got this."
So you were really learning to be an adult when you were still a kid.
Yeah, I pretty much have been an adult my whole life kind of thing. And my siblings, I've always seen more as my kids than my siblings. I mean, there's moments where it's like, I'm going to smack you because you're my sibling.
Sure.
But then there's other moments that it's like, you're going to listen to me because I'm basically your mom. But when I was 12, my dad passed away. And so we started living with my mom again. And around that time is when I started truly suffering from depression and anxiety and stuff like that. I mean, I had my first suicide ideations when I was 7 or 8. But after my dad died at 12, it got worse. And the following year when I was 13, I was sexually assaulted, which didn't help matters. And after that, I started smoking cigarettes and self-harming almost on a daily basis. And then from there until I was 17, I was in and out of mental hospitals. When I was 15, my mom signed custody of me over to the state. And so I was in and out of both mental hospitals and DCF type care. And then when I was 17, the program I was in told my mom, we can't handle her. So you take her back or we're shipping her upstate. And my mom was like, well, how often would we see her? And they were like, not often. So she took me back. And then I got back into the swing of things of living with my family after not living with them for like 2-3 years. Yeah, 2.5, something like that. But that was an adjustment because being in both like the DCF custody and mental hospitals, you have a strict schedule, like when you got to get up, when you got to eat, when you got to do, this or that. And being back at home, I was like, I can just do whatever I want when I want. So it was definitely an adjustment period, but I got to hang out with my siblings again, and it was, okay. I was managing, more or less. But then when that fall, when I was 17, so it would have been like September, October of 2016, I started attending what I thought would be my senior year of high school. Because in August, I had met with a counselor and set up all my classes so I would be taking extra so I could graduate in June or May or whenever they graduate. But halfway through September, she was like, yeah, well, that's too much, so we're taking it off your plate. You'll graduate next year. And I was just like, bro. There was the fact that at this point in time, my dad had been gone for 5 years, and that was really taking its toll on me. From the sexual assault, I never really dealt with it, so that was still bouncing around, and sometimes I would get flashbacks. And to top everything off, I was in an abusive relationship. And I don't know exactly when I made the decision to attempt to kill myself, but at some point in the middle of October, early to mid October, I guess is when I made the decision because I just became free basically, and I was able to do what a lot of the people around me were doing. I was looking at colleges. I had gotten accepted to Lincoln Tech to do auto mechanics. I had signed up for the military. I got accepted to do that, and they were willing to pay half or all of my college. I can't remember. So it was like I was doing what I should be, and we found out later that was because I had made peace with what I was going to do. So I was happy for the first time in a long time, and I was able to, act normal, more or less. I mean, as normal as I can be, but and so when I was 17, I remember it was November 1st. I don't remember everything from that night. I can remember most of the day and bits and pieces leading up to actually drinking the suicide cocktail, as I started calling it. I can remember getting ready for bed and saying goodnight / goodbye to my siblings and my mom. I can remember taking off my jewelry. I don't remember taking the meds, but I had refilled them a day or two before, so there was over 300 meds. I was on so many meds back then. It was bad. I remember grabbing my journal, but I don't remember writing in it. And I also left a video for my siblings. I honestly don't remember doing that.
Right.
And next thing I know, I'm laying down watching Bob's Burgers. And after that, I don't know what was real and what was in my head, but the first time I know, I was with it was when I was in the pediatric ICU and my two aunts and my cousin Brandon came down. My aunt Faye, who's passed away, and my aunt Gail. And my cousin Brandon, me and him grew up more as siblings. Him and his twin sister Allie. My dad and their mom were siblings, and they were always really close, and so we were always really close to her and them too. And so I hadn't seen Brandon in I don't know how long, because he had moved to Virginia. But the first thing I remember for fact that I know I was awake and not just in my head kind of thing was them visiting. My Aunt Faye was talking to me about White Boy being here, because that's what we used to call Brandon. And I just remember smiling. I don't know if I actually smiled.
But do you remember what actually happened after all of that? In terms of what decisions you made for yourself.
So I didn't know what happened for a while. I didn't even know I was blind until someone told me, because I could see stuff. It just wasn't clear. It was really blurry, and what I was seeing didn't always make sense. But I think it was like 2 months, a month and a half after the overdose, attempted suicide, someone finally decided, no, we should tell her. And so my mom told me what happened, and doctor was like, do you remember anything? And at that point, I was like, I remember bits and pieces. And he was like, you may never get those memories back. And you may never remember the day, you did what you did. But one of those medical miracles, I remember a lot. And I remember more of that day than they thought I could. Because when I first got, when the overdose first happened, sadly, my little sister Brittany found me, and she went and got my mom, and they called 911, and they were trying to get me outside, and we lived in a second floor apartment, and we were on the second and third floor, so my room was on the third floor, so they had to get me down that teeny tiny staircase, and then down to the separate staircase and outside to the ambulance. And so while they were trying to do that, they were also trying to get information from my mom. And they got me in the ambulance, and the cop ran back upstairs and started asking my mom all the same questions. She later found out it was because I crashed the minute they got me in the ambulance. So he didn't want her going down and seeing me dead.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, okay. And so she went to the hospital with my two younger siblings and my grandma. And that's when the nurse was like, she crashed for 17 minutes, but we brought her back. And my mom's like, what does that mean? And my grandma was like, she died, but she's okay. She's okay. And then I was in a medically induced coma for roughly 2 weeks. And all the CAT scans and MRIs and all these different tests they did showed absolutely no brain activity. I was on life support, and at one point the doctors were like, look at these scans, and they showed my mom. There was like they said, there's no brain activity. Do you want us to keep her on life support, or if we take it out and she crashes, do you want us to bring her back? And she was like, well, what would Ashley want? Clearly she didn't want to be here. So she signed a DNR, and they took the tube out, and everyone just kind of hovered around me waiting. And after the tube was out, like a minute or two later, I took a deep breath, and the doctors were like, hot damn, she's breathing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then that started the road to recovery, and it was a long one, because a lot of the stuff I started doing, the doctors were like, oh, it's like a baby. It's just automatic reaction. She's not actually reacting to you, and that wasn't the case. I couldn't talk. I obviously couldn't see, but I didn't know that. I couldn't move. I was, more or less a vegetable. Still a vegetable. I'm a couch potato, but not the same kind of vegetable. But when they took me off life support and I started breathing, I think they put me on oxygen, because I just remember like having this weird feeling in my nose. And so I think I was on oxygen, but I don't know for sure.
Sure.
But that just, I started the road, about a month after the incident. I got moved to Spalding Rehab in Charlestown. And there I started relearning to talk and walk and, control my bladder, not to be like TMI, but, and just like relearning how to take care of myself. And then from there, about 2 months after being there, I went to another rehab in Springfield called Mercy. Or Mercy's the hospital. Weldon, I believe, is the rehab. Anyways. And I was there for a few months, and then I ended up going to a nursing home before I started attending Perkins. And I started attending Perkins in September of 2017.
That's
and it was
Perkins School
roughly,
for the Blind.
Yeah, Perkins School for the Blind.
Mm-hmm.
It was roughly 9 months after the attempted suicide. So I was still really messed up, and I remember some of the staff and teachers were like, "You can't handle this. We're not equipped for this." And my caseworker Jen, she was like, "We got this. We'll figure it out. So, but Perkins School for the Blind is obviously a blind school in Watertown. They have what they call secondary, which is basically high school age students. They have a blind program and then a deaf blind program, but they also have like early learning, which I think is like preschool and younger. And then they have a lower school, which is like kindergarten through middle school kind of thing. And yeah.
So which part were you? Which part?
I was in secondary. I started off in Fisher. They call it cottages, so I was in Fisher Cottage. And then after being there for like 2 years, give or take, I moved to a more independent cottage, Hiller Sullivan, KS. And then after being there for like a year, COVID hit. And so I moved to one of the independent apartments, Bennett, and then COVID hit. And then when school restarted, I went back to Bennett, and I was there until I left Perkins to move into my own place.
Boy, you really are a real survivor.
Yeah, well, like after what happened, my grandma was always telling me, this is your new life, your new beginning, you're being reborn. And that turned into kind of my mantra. And so I took the persona, not like I identify as, but just like this is me and, what I represent kind of thing, is a phoenix. I have a phoenix tattoo on my arm. When I've done public speaking in the past, I come out saying like the phoenix stuff. And the way I see it is you have those people who are willing to walk through the fire of your burning remains to get to who you are now, and you have those people that aren't willing to get burned to get back to you.
Right.
And it's finding those people who are willing to take the burns because they know they're gonna get burned, but they'll heal, and they'll be better for it, because the phoenix is, they burn and they rise from the ashes better than they were before. And so anyone who's willing to walk through the phoenix flames and get to the other side and still be here, that's who I want in my corner, not the people who think it's too difficult, or, I'm being dramatic, or, just don't understand, and so they don't care, or whatever the case is. So it's just,
Wow. So what it sounds like, you've developed a cadre of friends that you can depend on. Is that right?
Well, friends might be a strong word. I have my partner, Austin. I have our fur baby, Reggie. And I have my sister, Brittany. Those are the 3 people I talk to most consistently, not including my therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Austin's sister, Lena, she's a support, but me and her don't talk as often since I started dating her brother, but, can't win. But it's, so my circle isn't huge, and honestly, it never really was, but I don't need a bunch of fake people pretending, oh, I'm
Right.
so sorry, oh, do you need help? Like, no, dude, let me fall on my face. I'll get back up, or I'll be like, bro, give me a hand, and that's where my partner, Austin, he's really supportive, and sometimes he's like, do it. And I'm like, but I can't. He's like, do it. You're fine. You got this. I'm here if you need me. And my sister, Brittany, she's kind of that way, but she's a mom now of 2 kids, and so sometimes she gets that mom instinct, and she'll put her hands out, and I'm like, let me fall. And she's like, no. I'm like, come on. So it's a work in progress, but
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think that someone who's in your situation would need to be able to put their lives together like you have?
they need a good foundation. And I don't mean like family surrounding you and friends surrounding you and doctors surrounding you. I mean, you need a good self foundation to do it for yourself and make yourself the motivation to get up every day. And maybe not every day, maybe that's too extreme, but more than half the week, get up and, push forward and do what you got to do. And from that almost self-sufficient, you then branch out and start building the rest of the house. You get the first floor that, is your family. You get the second floor that's friends, and then maybe you get an attic that's like a pet or a partner,
Right.
or, a hobby, whatever. And you just slowly rebuild your house, and you make it stronger than the one before. And it all starts with that foundation of, this is me. It's my life. I'm going to do with it what I do, because at the end of the day, the only voice that truly matters is mine. Yeah, I can take what people say into account and take it, think about what they said, but at the end of the day, they're not walking in my shoes. They're not living my life. I have to do it. I have to metaphorically look at myself in the mirror and be happy with what I can't see. So,
Yeah, right. Right.
so it's one of those, you start with the foundation and work from there. And it's just, I wish I had someone to tell me that back almost 9 years ago now, but at the same time, I'm glad no one did, because if they did, I want to be here, and I want to have met the people I've met and gotten to the place where I am. And as much hardship and difficulties I've had since becoming blind and disabled, it's brought so much good and happiness into my life as well. And it's a double-edged sword, and it honestly all started once I understood you need that self foundation and build from there.
I know you do public speaking, and which is with the message that you have. What do you think that other blind people, how do you think other blind people can get to the position that you are of understanding that it really is up to you? Is there a message that you give your audience that says, this is the path that really you have to think about going?
So for blind people specifically, it's difficult, because a lot of the blind people I've met in my travels, as they say, still live with their parents and their families, and their families and their parents do a lot for them, which is not a bad thing. However, if you need that self foundation to start building your house, you need to be able to fall on your face and have someone stand back and just be like, you fell on your face. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to get up, or are you going to ask for help? And I've noticed a lot of parents, especially, don't want their blind child to fall on their face, so they'll step in before the kid can fall or walk face first into a doorway.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, you just need to let them. And, as a blind individual, you need to be like, mom, dad, whoever, sister, brother, dog, whatever. Let me walk into that wall and break my nose. I will learn from my mistakes and I will do better next time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And so, in other words, you need some freedom to make mistakes in order to find out what works for you.
exactly.
Yeah. I just now discovered that wearing a sun visor, like golfers wear,
Mm-hmm.
is a great way to protect my nose at home. Because, the brim is farther out than my nose. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the kind of thing we have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
also, for me, I guess people probably think I'm an eccentric because I'm wearing the sun visor inside all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay if they think I'm an eccentric. But that's what
Hey,
we're
I'm
talking about.
I'm with you. I wear my anytime I'm outside, day, night, indoors, outdoors. Anytime I leave my house, my sunglasses are on, and
Mm.
some people look at me like, "Oh, look who brought the cool girl to the party." But it's not that. It's I don't want to be awkwardly staring at someone, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not actually staring. My eyes are just in their direction, and they are like, "What are you staring at?" I don't know. You know? So it's camouflage, but it's also a learned safety net, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. So, uh, what I'm hearing is one of the things that you're saying to people out there, the relationship with the parents may need some work.
mm, yeah, like not all parents of blind people fall into that category,
Right.
but a lot of the ones I've met and I've heard about and I've observed do put their kid in a bubble and don't let anyone pop that bubble. And it's like the bubble needs to be popped, or this
Yeah.
kid's never going to stand on their own 2 feet because you're expecting you're going to live the rest of your kid's life. Your kid is most likely going to outlive you, which means they need to be
Right.
able to stand on their own 2 feet and be able to do for themselves what you're doing for them. So, yeah, it may be difficult. You may need to tie yourself to a chair, but you need to let them do what they do. And, when they ask for help, that's when you help them. Don't just automatically step in and be like, oh my God, okay, what do you need? What do you need? Like, just sit there, let them fall, and
Mm-hmm.
wait. If they ask for help them up. If they don't, let them struggle. They'll figure it out.
Well, the thing is, the parents feel like a failure
Mm-hmm.
if their child gets hurt. Like I should
Mm-hmm.
have protected, and the parents have to understand that that's not their responsibility. To do a certain amount of it,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the age, but
Mm-hmm.
to do that forever, as you say, your child is going to outlive you.
Mm-hmm.
So your child is going to have to learn. So just as I've had to learn.
Mm-hmm. One tough, not tough because I've been out in the world, but one experience I've learned is no one's gonna make the world accessible for you. And what a lot of parents and family members of blind people do is they make that blind person's world accessible. When you're not around, that world's not going to be accessible. And if you don't show them how it can't be accessible, they're not going to know how to make it accessible. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, like I went to a restaurant with my family once and they handed me a menu. I go, I'm blind. And the waitress was like, okay. And I go, do you have a braille menu? And she goes, no. I go, legally, you have to have one or you have to have an audio version. So can I talk to a manager? And she got all upset, but it's like, you know, and my mom was like, I can't believe you did that. But I'm like, the facts are the facts. If there's someone's got to stand up and, be like, I need to make this world accessible. And you're going to get those people that will deny you And for instance, like with service dogs and guide dogs, you're going to get those places that say you can't bring a pet in. It's not a pet, it's a medical device. Well, no dogs allowed. Well, it's a medical device. And you're going to have to fight those fights. But if you have family and friends always hovering and be in that bubble around you, you're never going to get that backbone to stand up and be like, I know my rights and you can legally not deny me access if the public can enter. It's the same with like day-to-day stuff, you know? Well, you might burn yourself on the stove. Yes, I may. But I will learn not to do it when the next time I try, you know?
Can I put it in some other words and say, one of the things that as a blind person I have to learn not to be ashamed of my blindness.
That too.
And
I still struggle with that.
And my family.
Mm-hmm.
My family cannot feel ashamed of my blindness because that's the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
So the part of the education that I'm hearing you say is not just for us as blind people, or people with blindness, but to educate those around us. And boy, that's a tough job. People always feel good when they save somebody's butt. But in trying to save mine, they get in the way. Get in the way of my learning. Sometimes it interferes with my dog's work. It's not helpful at all. And sometimes I know I just, I feel like I wish I had a baseball bat to tell them, get away from me. But that's the way people are. So how do you deal with those people? Just kind of like, tell them to step back or just ignore them?
I mean, it's tough because when it's like your friends and family and people, it's easy to be like, bro, get away, let me do it. But when it's a stranger, you got to do it more delicately because you may say, I can do this on my own, and the stranger may get offensive or defensive and start an argument, possibly start a fight, and you won't see them swing until it connects with the side of your face. So it's like you got to do it delicately and just do one of those, I got it, thanks, but no thanks, and just kind of shuffle away and try to figure it out. Or, you do have those people when you're at a corner and you're you got turned around and now you're like, oh no, which way is home? And you can't see, and the dog isn't a GPS. So if the dog's not familiar with this specific route, the dog's not going to know, okay, we turn left and go home. So you may have to say, hey, is anyone near me? Hello? Okay, cool. Someone's here. Can you tell me where this street is? And,
yeah, exactly. To be upfront and say, look, I'm having a little trouble here. Can you help me? But you don't need to take over.
Exactly. It's one of those, like, I'm asking for a direction, not for you to hold my hand.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with for anybody with a disability, whether it's blindness, deafness, whatever. They just see someone who's, in need, and they're like, I have to step in and do this for them. It's like, no, just do what they're asking you and keep it moving, As harsh as that sounds, it's got to be.
Yeah, people come up to me and say, do you need help? And my response often is, oh, I'm beyond help. And that lets me say, yeah, no, I do need to know where such and such is. And, with the humor and, with my bizarre humor, it tends to take some of the tension away. I'm capable of taking care of myself, but I need this information. And then people just, oh, that's all you need? Fine. And also to hang around people who understand that.
That's a big part.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some friends that we go on a walk regularly around the park, and this one just can't get it that I don't need somebody to grab me to keep me out of trouble. I have a dog, and also it's helpful for the person to say, oh, there's a dog coming. You might want to, say something to your dog, because I can't hear the dog a dog that's coming towards us, and because the dog is fine, but some people grab you, take you where you don't want to go. I had little old ladies that grab my arm and take me across the street, and I didn't want to go. Yeah.
No, I still have some family that won't come near me because I'm blind now, and I have other family members that will just grab me and move me, and I'm like, I can walk. Just point me in the right direction. Well, how could you see where I'm pointing? Yeah, I can't. But that's gonna be better than you grabbing me. I forget which sister it was, but one of my sisters made the mistake of grabbing me at the wrong time, and I turned around and I punched her right in the face. Never grabbed me again, though. She learned.
They learned, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those you need to fall on your face and learn from your mistakes, and you won't do it again.
Yeah, sometimes we have to go to that length in order to protect ourselves, really.
Well, exactly. As a blind individual traveling, independently, someone approaches you, you don't know whether they're friend or foe, if they're coming to talk to you to see if you need help or if they need directions, or if they're going to rob you, stab you. Anything can happen, especially the way the world's going now. And so it's to be hesitant and very non-sociable may be rude. However, it's going to protect you in the long run because you may make the wrong person angry and it's going to come back to bite you in the butt in the worst kind of way. And so, as many strangers are helpful because they want to be, you also have the strangers that are helpful because they're curious about the blind person, or they're curious about the dog, or they want to know how the stick works. That's my favorite. How does the stick work? I don't know what you mean. The stick in your hand. I have a cane, not a stick. No, a cane's curved. A walking cane is curved, yes, but not a white cane.
Yeah. Well, there are times when I have the dog and I may ask somebody for directions, and I've had somebody respond, "This is Carpenter Street. See the sign up there?" And I've got this dog right beside me in harness and everything. I say, "Oh, there are some people who'll never get it," and that's okay.
No, oh, my partner to this day, we've been together almost 3 years, and we'll be out somewhere. Oh, did you see that? No, what happened? Oh yeah. And he'll explain it to me, or he'll send me a picture and be like, "LOL, isn't that funny?" I'm like, "What's the picture?" And then he'll be like, "Oh yeah." And so he'll still do stuff, but it's not so much because oh, he forgot I was blind. It's more I'm his partner. He doesn't see me as a blind individual.
Right.
He sees me as Ashley, which I appreciate so much. But there's times when it's like, you walked me to the pool for the third time. How did you not see it there? So there's moments where it's like, oh, it sucks. He forgot. But then there's other moments where it's like, oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are friends of mine, and something like that, and they say, "Oh, I forgot." Well, in some ways, it's a testament to how well we get around by ourselves without the need of other people. What do you think? What message do you think you want to give to people who are in the situation that we're describing? People who are blind, people who are trying to find their way. If you in your talks, I mean, what are you encouraging people to do?
You need to find your people. And I don't mean oh, I have a therapist. I mean people you can trust without questions, without restrictions, and people you can tell anything to and they're not going to judge you. They're going to take it and either listen or, help you figure it out. And you need to find those people, and even if it's one person, because when you're going through your dark days, you may need that one person. Maybe that person's your dog, you know? but it's still a person that can be there. And once you have that person, you just need to not be afraid to talk when you're going through something. Or maybe you don't talk about, this is what's going on. Maybe you just call and say, hey, can we hang out? Can we, go to the park or, get a drink or whatever, And if that doesn't work, try music, try movies, just what's the word? Distract your mind from the current dark thoughts and turn it into something else, So sometimes when I'm having dark thoughts, I play dark music and then I slowly change it to nicer music, or I blare Eminem because he always calms me down. How that works, I don't know, but it does, Once you find your techniques of what helps you get out of the dark place and
Right.
back into the light, or even like the dimmer area, not so dark.
Not so dark, yeah.
Yeah, it's just once you get there, when you get to the dim place, it's easier to reach out to people. And when you're in the dark place, sometimes it's easier just to throw music on and wait for it to pass. Sometimes it doesn't pass and you need to reach out.
Right.
And you can't be afraid. You don't want to get to
And
the
don't
point
be
where it's
ashamed. And don't
exactly, you don't be ashamed, don't be afraid, and you don't want to wait too long, because if you wait too long, it may not be a friend you're calling, it might be 911.
Yeah.
And it may not be you calling because you're on the floor, passed out or worse,
Mm-hmm.
and someone else found you and now they're calling 911. So it's one of those, people have a lot of issues around mental health, and people have a lot of issues around people with disabilities. And when you combine the two, that's a big no-no topic for a lot of people. But you just gotta say, I know who my people are, I know who I can talk to, and, just find your people and know this is who I need. This is who is part of my foundation for my house, kind of thing.
Perfect way of putting it. We're talking about interdependence.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you're an independent person, the other person's independent, but
Mm-hmm.
you both can help each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
so that one of the things that particularly with mental health, and also with blindness, is the feeling that we have to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to give ourselves over to somebody else to be a caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a thing that's I find it very difficult to balance,
Yeah.
because finding that line where they give us some room,
Mm-hmm.
but they're there when we need it, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
be there when they need it.
Exactly. You just need to find that balance. And whether it's a friend, a partner, a sibling, whoever, like for instance, me and my partner, we balance each other out. It's easier for him to do the cooking and the cleaning and obviously the driving. It's easier for me to keep up with our plans and work on the mental and emotional part of the relationship. And, we both work on paying different bills. Sometimes I have better management with the money, sometimes he does. But we have that balance because we know who's doing what in the relationship, and that's how it is with mental health. You need to know who's going to be there for this moment to balance me out and, get your scale right, kind of thing.
And that's a good balance for anybody, mental
Mm-hmm.
health issue or blindness or whatever, is being able to do that balance
Mm-hmm.
between two people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
yeah,
oh, no,
continue.
one more thing. So the one thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is the balance doesn't always mean 50-50. Like, I have my days where I'm down and I'm depressed, so my partner's taking 80% of the day-to-day relationship because I can only provide 20%. Sometimes I'm taking 70 because he can only put in 30. And there's other days where it's 50-50. And that's not just for like relationships, there's mental health. You have your people where sometimes you need them to just take more because you can't give
Mm-hmm.
enough. And a lot of people are like, no, relationships are 50-50. They should be, but you need to understand that not every day is 50-50.
Right, right, right. So we're talking about acceptance of ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
other people accepting us as
Mm-hmm.
we are, and for us to accept others
Mm-hmm.
as where they are. So knowing that, it isn't one way,
Mm-hmm.
that there's going to be a balance in the relationship. It's a healthy way
Mm-hmm.
to operate.
Exactly.
Is there some other message, one we haven't touched, that you want to give our audience as we kind of wrap this up?
One thing I've learned is, as mean as this may sound, don't make one person or one animal or one anything your whole world, because if that person leaves, if they die, if anything happens, your world has now come crashing down. You
Right.
need to make yourself your center of your universe, and you have the planets around you. It's back to that foundation. You have to be the foundation, and you build the house with the people. And, so you're the main center. You are what keeps everything together. But the people and, the animals, the pets, whatever, they help keep things together. But you are the solid structures that keeps together. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. And I like your ability to call on analogies
Mm-hmm.
to make your point very clear. I certainly, uh, and I agree with you, of course, and understand is sometimes, though, with mental health or whatever, or whatever's going on,
Mm-hmm.
we may have a tendency to withdraw,
Mm-hmm.
and that is sometimes we have to, retreat to our cave to lick our wounds, but we
Mm-hmm.
can't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is to know that people out there
Mm-hmm.
and there are out there who are
Mm-hmm.
willing to be open to us
Mm-hmm.
and not take over.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes back to the phoenix analogy. Sometimes you're in the mix of the flames that you're not seeing the ashes to put out the fire. So you need
Hmm.
to have that one person that's willing to come into the flames and pull you out into the ashes to put out that fire. And, sometimes you're in a dark place and you can't talk. Well, you need to have a person or a pet or somebody that can sense or tell you're in that place. It's not that you're ignoring them, it's you're in a place where you can't talk, or, you're just
Right.
too deep in your head and they need to physically pull you out. And it goes
Hmm.
back to, maybe that's a day you can only give 10% and they got to take 90.
Right.
It's the balance, and you just got to find your people and, just build them.
Yeah. And not isolate yourself because of
Exactly.
your disability, but get
Mm-hmm.
out there, get in front of people. And sometimes you have to go through a lot of people to find the ones that's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your job, to find those people, because not everybody works for us.
Mm-hmm. No. At one point in my life, after I became blind, I had people around me just because I was scared to be alone.
Right.
I
Hmm.
I once had someone tell me that because of how I am now, no one would ever want to be with me. So when I found someone who was willing to be with me, I would do almost anything to keep them because I didn't want to be alone. And I've learned sometimes you need to be alone. And maybe that's emotionally alone, maybe that's physically alone, but you also need the balance of people. And everything, it's a balance, it's a dance. You just got to find the right music and, groove to it. It eh, it's complicated, but it's so simple at the same time.
Wonderful words of wisdom. Actually, I'm so grateful that you are on the program today.
Thanks.
And
I had a
to
lot of fun.
just have your words of wisdom for people to incorporate. Is there something that somebody could do in the next 24 hours to get themselves going? Is it finding somebody or just, saying to yourself, I've got to be different? Or what would you recommend? In
I
just
mean,
28, 48 hours, say, how can I begin to take the steps that you're outlining?
it starts a lot with like self-esteem, and like me, I'm someone who struggles with self-esteem, and when you have bad self-esteem, you have a bad self-foundation, and you need the self-foundation to do almost anything, and trying to find the motivation to get that foundation can be difficult, but even if it's something as simple as jumping in the shower, that's a start, putting on a movie or music or going for a walk, doing something small is the first step to that foundation. It may seem very insignificant, but it's the first step to the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Great idea. Thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you.
We hope to keep in touch. Let us know how things are going,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe have a chance to have some more time with you on the air.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, great. That'd be cool for me.
Yeah.
This is Blindsight. Bill Lundgren, your host. If you have any questions about resources, so forth, don't hesitate to contact the aftersight.org by email. Contact us for requests for help. Certainly help if you're suicidal. 988 is the number to dial. But for information, for resources, give us a buzz. Thank you very much. This is Bill Lundgren signing off.